Welcome back to Big T and welcome to episode 3 of predicting every team's regular season record. Today, we've got the third worst team in the league last year, the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to quickly go over them. I'm going to try and make these videos a little bit shorter. So I'm going to kind of cut the time of talking about their roster. And we'll get into that more when we actually predict the games. But the Cardinals roster, obviously, starting quarterback Kyler Murray is not going to be playing for the first half of the season. There's no actual timetable of his recovery, so I'll give you my most accurate prediction when I can. Colt McCoy is probably going to be the starter with a little bit of maybe Clayton Tune action. And running back core is looking okay. James Conner. As far as I know, Keontae Ingram is pretty young. He is. So we'll see if he gets any playing time behind Corey Clement, who used to be really good. I don't really know what happened to him. And this receiving core, it's all right. Hollywood Brown, one of the more underrated guys in the league. He had 700 yards last year, 3 touchdowns. Considering he missed a good amount of time, he's a pretty good receiver. They lost D-Hop. However, they do have Rondale Moore to take that position. He had 400 yards last year and a touchdown. He missed some time too. All of the, he only played in 8 games. So 400 yards is not bad. All these receivers missed time. Greg Dortch, pretty underrated. He was a legend in the start of last season. And then he didn't get much playing time after that. So hopefully he can see himself on the field more. They do have Zach Ertz. However, he is getting kind of old. He wasn't as good last season as he was in the 2021 season. He's on the PUP list. Probably doesn't have that much left in his career, but that's why Trey McBride's probably going to get a lot of play time. Offensive line looking pretty bad, to be honest. They did bring in Paris Johnson Jr. from the draft, but that'll only take you so far. And DJ Humphries is okay, but this interior of the line is a little scary. Now, the Cardinals' defense is a very interesting topic to cover. So we have, a little bit of star power on here. We do have Budda Baker, who is going to play this year. However, there's not much help that Budda Baker has in the secondary. Rashad Fenton, Marco Wilson are the 2 starting cornerbacks. Isaiah Simmons, a little scary. You also got the linebacking core, pretty young, but not proven. So that's my main problem. They're not really proven, BJ Ojulari, brother of the other Ojulari, on the Giants. And this D-line is just really hindered, A few years ago, they used to look promising, but now it's just not a lot of names on here that can really make an impact, in my opinion. Now, this draft was huge for the Cardinals. A lot of future that they got in here. So Paris Johnson, obviously, with their 6th overall pick. They picked up BJ Ojulari in the 2nd round. They got Garrett Williams, corner, in the 3rd round, as well as Michael Wilson. These 2 could be very solid. It just depends on what their playing time looks like. Clayton Tune could potentially get some playing time this year. Besides that, just a bunch of depth players that they got. The Arizona Cardinals, 4-13 last year, the 3rd worst record in the league, surprisingly, for 4-13. Passing yards, they were actually 18th, which isn't bad for the 3rd worst team in the league. You'd expect them to be lower. And 22nd in rushing yards. That's pretty solid as well, with 110 rushing yards per game. So they're averaging about 320 yards per game on offense, which is, pretty solid for a team that went 4-13. However, 26.4 points against. That's 31st in the league. 20 points for. They weren't really able to capitalize in the end zone. All right, enough talking about the team. Let's get into the record predictions. So already we have the Cardinals off to a 2-0 start. Don't worry, when I make these videos in the future, I'll clear the wins and I'll re-talk about them, if that even makes sense. It probably doesn't. You'll see what I mean. Week 1, Cardinals, they're going to be playing at the Commanders. Despite me not being high on the Commanders, I'm going to give them an early win. The Cardinals just don't have much going for them coming into the season. A lot of controversy, a lot of, a lot of this and that. However, I do think it's interesting to trust what their new head coach, Jonathan Gannon, if I'm correct, has in store for the Cardinals, because a lot of people are already giving up on him, the new head coach, and I think that's so stupid. Like, just give the guy a chance. See, apparently they're having a culture change with him. He's kind of changing the culture of the Arizona Cardinals, which is good, really good. However, that I feel like that isn't going to help him get much wins this season. Week 2, Giants playing the Cardinals. It's the Cardinals home opener. However, I'm going to give this to the Giants. I feel like the Giants are going to kind of pick up where they left off last season. They were 10-6-1, something like that, with a playoff win under their belt. Relatively similar team, only got better. So there's no reason to think that the Giants are going to be a bad team next year. Week 3, another NFC East matchup for the Cardinals. 3 weeks in a row. Cowboys at Cardinals. I'm going to give this one to the Cowboys. The Cowboys are obviously the better team. Both the Giants and the Cowboys are some of the better offensive teams in the league, in my opinion. And I feel like this Cardinals defense is just going to be so bad this year. I feel like they're going to be the worst defense in the league for sure. And offensively, obviously for all these games that they don't have Kyler Murray, they're going to be very hindered, because I know Kyler Murray has a lot of haters out there, but you got to admit this team is better with him. This team is kind of built for him in a way, and he is a good quarterback in the National Football League. So without him, it's going to be hard for them to snag wins. Week 4, we finally got the first divisional matchup for the Cardinals, and that is versus the 49ers. You guys aren't going to like this, but I'm going to be giving this one to the Cardinals. Now, let me explain. The 49ers are going through a lot of change this season. They lost their defensive coordinator. They lost their offensive coordinator last year. They have a 3-way quarterback competition. So this team is going to have to figure some stuff out real quick, On top of that, this Cardinals team is going to be a little settled in. I feel like they're going to pull a surprising upset win. I don't think the 49ers are going to be bad next year, but I do think, like all years, they're going to start slow and then end great, once the team fully figures out its identity. However, this win is kind of going to be a fluke win for the Cardinals, as I have the Bengals blowing them out in Week 5. Joe Burrow or not, he'll probably be back. So I'm assuming Joe Burrow will be back. I assume he'll be back Week 2 at latest. I think he might miss Week 1, but that's all right. And I think that the Bengals will just destroy the Cardinals on both sides of the ball. The Cardinals, defensively, they're going to struggle. Offensively, they're going to struggle. It's just going to be a bad game for them. It doesn't get better from here. Week 6, I'm going to have the Rams squeak out a close win against the Cardinals. I don't think the Rams are going to be any type of good next year, but I just don't really see the Cardinals winning this game, especially if the Rams have Cooper Kupp. However, he's been injured, so it's not looking too great for them, which is kind of giving me confliction to switch this a little bit, but I'm gonna keep it and trust my intuition. Week 7, we have the Cardinals going up against the Seahawks. Come on now. The Seahawks, they made the playoffs last year, impressed everybody. This team only got better. And even if their running back core for the Seahawks is kind of in shambles, this passing game is going to be the exact same it was last year. They're going to be dominant. And I know Seattle didn't do much to help them defensively. I feel like they still have a solid defense, and they're getting Jamal Adams back. Pair him up with Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. They can all develop, this is going to be a team that is a problem. Week 8, Ravens at Cardinals. I feel bad because, that's back-to-back playoff teams besides the Rams. But I'm going to give this one to the Ravens. The Ravens next year are looking great. They're not going to have as much conflict as they did last year, hopefully. They brought back Lamar Jackson, and they made him happy by bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers. On top of that, they kind of strengthened a little bit of their depth. They did lose Marcus Peters, but I feel like that's not going to make too much of an issue for them. And I like where the Ravens are heading next year. They're going to need... They had a great offseason for a team that is going to be, like next year they're going to be in probably the toughest division. So I think they did some great moves, and the Cardinals are just going to get destroyed off defensively. They might be able to put up points offensively, but who knows. Week 9, I'm going to assume this is the game that Kyler Murray comes back. All right, week 9. Because of that, I'm going to give the Cardinals a win. Now, this Browns team is going to be very inconsistent next year. You know, a lot of people have them going far. I don't see it, man. Deshaun Watson hasn't done anything to prove to me that he is a good quarterback in the league. And this Browns defense, I feel like, is not built as good as it can be. So I feel like the Browns are going to, beat good teams but lose to bad teams. They have a roster that could make a Super Bowl. I can see it, but I really can't because I don't know. A lot of their losses are going to come down to Deshaun Watson and his ability to not win games. Although in Week 10, I am going to give the Falcons the win. The Falcons are my sleeper team next year. I feel like this is going to be a very close game, but I feel like the Falcons, with a very controlled offense, good defense. There's good news about Jeff Okudah today that, he might miss like a week maybe of the regular season, but he should be fully healthy. Great to hear considering he's so underrated. I'm so glad to hear that. And this Cardinals team, I just feel like it's going to be a great team. Or not Cardinals, sorry. Cut that out. I just feel like this Falcons team next year is going to be pretty damn solid, Week 11, I already predicted this outcome in our Texans video. I had the Cardinals taking this one. Kyler Murray's back. Texans don't have too much going for them this year. However, I do have them at 7-10. If you didn't miss that video, watch that video to know why I had them at 7-10. However, I think the Cardinals offensively will be able to outmatch the Texans defense. And I feel like that will be all she wrote. Another win coming up for the Cardinals, Week 12. I'm going to have them beating the LA Rams. Now, the Rams I'm not high on at all, and I do think that they're going to split. However, if Kyler Murray was back for this game, I would have them beating this low Rams team that has done nothing to prove to me that they are a good team. Trust me, we'll talk about them when we get to them. Trust me, we'll get into that. Week 13, I feel like this is where the Cardinals kind of winning stretch is going to end for a little bit, as I have the Steelers winning this game. I'm not, particularly think the Steelers are going to be a 13-4 team, but I do think they'll be able to clean up bad teams, which is something they couldn't do last year. Coming into this bye, the Cardinals are going to be 4-9, where this is a team that isn't really in contention, but they kind of known that since they were 1-7, and I think they're going to go on a little 3-2 run here. Bad start. Hopefully they can turn it around, see what they can do. However, Week 15, I'm going to give the 49ers the win. I'm going to have them sweeping. Oh, no, I'm actually going to have them splitting. My fault. I'm going to have the 49ers split with the Cardinals. I just cannot have the Cardinals beat them twice, man. I just can't. 49ers team is too good to do that. Week 16, in the Bears video, I had the Cardinals taking this one because the Bears defense is, kind of weak. Week 17, doesn't get better. Eagles, not going to overthink this. It's such a balanced team, this Eagles team is. They're just going to shred through the Cardinals. And Week 18, I'm going to give the Seahawks the late win because they're probably going to have all their starters out. And they're probably going to sweep the Cardinals. After Week 18, that'll bring the Cardinals to a 5-12 record. So a little bit of improvement from last year, but not too much. And I feel like that's about as far as I can really take them, With no Kyler Murray in the first half of the season, with a very bad defense, I think 5 wins is a little generous. I used to be high on this Cardinals team coming into this year, but I've just convinced myself that they aren't going to be that great. They're going to go 2-4 against their, what people think are a pretty stacked division, however, but 3-9 against a weaker NFC conference. This is an interesting split. 1-7 at home, but 4-5 away. We'll see how that really pans out. However, if you did enjoy this video, like, subscribe. Let me know about what you think of me giving the Cardinals a 5-12 record. I think it's pretty justified, but we'll see when we get to it. And yeah, y'all take it easy.